Going to paint a black pumpkin, and I'm going to try and do it with just 3 brushes. I'm going to try and do it with a large 1-inch, a round number 5, and a 5-0 liner. That's what my plan is anyway. So I'm Yvette from Old Times Paint Parties. If you're new to my page, let me know. If you are new to the Craft Around the Clock page, the link's at the top. Go over and join that group. And by all means, sprinkle the love and all those things while the feed is going on. And thank you all for joining tonight. Say hello when you come on. We're just going to go ahead and start painting. I'm going to start putting my background down here while we're getting people. Hello, Carlotta. While we're getting people in here. So I'm going to be using a little bit of traditional burnt umber, and I'm just going to put 1 coat on my background. Now I'm using a little wood blank that I got from the dollar store. It came in a pack of 3, and they're 8x8, and they're kind of like MDF in the center, and then a little bit of laminate wood on either side. So you could paint either side. These would make great little trivets or things like that for your kitchen, or just little paintings or whatever you want to do with them. They're actually quite nice, and they're thick. Hello, Deborah. Hello, Shelly. So I'm just getting this traditional burnt umber and excuse me, frog in my throat, down on the first coat here before we get started. Hello, Janet. Thanks for joining in, everybody. So I kind of decided to do a different kind of pumpkin tonight. We're still kind of in the fall mode here. We're dipping into a little bit of Christmas, but we're still kind of in fall. So I thought I would do a pumpkin, a black pumpkin, and see if we can make this work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of, let me just get my colors here. Hi, Virginia. Hi, Donna. A little bit of light buttermilk. So I'm just going to get that on my plate as well. Maybe I'm running out of this color. Oh dear. Oh dear. I hope we have enough. If not, I'll have to switch to white. All right. So this is still a little bit wet, which is what I want. And I'm going to put a little more of that burnt umber down there. I love fall painting too. I do. So this pumpkin is black, so it's kind of a little bit brushing on the Halloween side of things too. So even if you're not a Halloween fan, it still actually will look kind of neat if just as a black pumpkin as well. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that light buttermilk and I'm going to dip into both. So a little bit of both colors. And I'm just going to do a little swirly thing and just change the whole tone of this down on the back. It's kind of a different sort of background to give it a little bit of texture and a little interest back there. So I'm just kind of mushing that all in there. I'm going to grab a little bit more of that lighter stuff, and I'm going to just mix that in again. So I'm just going to do this until I'm happy with how it looks. A little strange looking maybe, but it will all work out in the end. I hope. All right, we're going to put a little more light stuff here. And then I'm going to dry it, I think. Actually, before I dry it, I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to put a little more brown down here. I'm going to mix that there. I'm going to put a little more Whoops, I got some sprays on there. We'll bring that in there. We'll just mix that in like it was never there. All right. Bizarre so far, you think? All right, so I'm putting a little bit of that darker stuff in the corners over here. And then I'm just going to clean my brush off a little bit, just with my paper towel. I have a lot of paint in here, and I'm just going to squeeze the paint off of it. Hi, Cheryl. Oh, thanks, Shelly. All right, so I'm going to just introduce a little bit of black in there. So I just kind of squished the paint off of my brush because I didn't want it quite as wet as it was. But I'm going to try and incorporate a little bit of black into these corners up here. And I don't want to mess with my background too much, but I want to just put a little bit of darker corners in here. So I'm just lightly touching that with my brush, just ever so lightly, because I don't want to kind of ruin what I've done in here. Not ruin so much, but change the whole, if I swirl this in here, it's going to change the whole look of it, and I kind of like the way it's looking so far. So let's just bring this down a little more. So just a light touch, so that just putting that in the corners. I'm going to do that down here as well. We kind of just got right into the painting here. First timer from Texas, Highland Village, Texas. Well, hello, Rosemary. Thanks for joining. All right, so we'll just smudge a little bit of that down in there. So that's kind of looking pretty neat, I think. And I think that kind of makes me happy. So I'm going to take that paint off again with my messy old paper towel here. So I'm just literally squeezing my brush in between the paper towel and just pulling that paint off of there. Oh, excuse me, I have an itchy nose tonight. Like a vignette? I don't think so. I'm just painting a little painting. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the white or the light buttermilk, and I'm just going to bring some of that kind of in the center here. Again, still with a light touch, because I don't want to kind of disturb anything else that I've done, but I want that kind of like lighter hue here, because this will be at the top of our pumpkin. So I kind of want to be able to see that little bit of a lighter hue through here. I think that's pretty good. I think I'm going to stop there and dry this. So I'm liking the way that looks. So I just built up with 3 colors. So it's just traditional burnt umber, light buttermilk, and these are all Deco Americana paints. And a little bit of black. So that was my background. So I'm just going to dry this. We're going to paint, Rosemary, we're going to paint a black pumpkin. So these are really light tone colors. So all of the colors that I'm using tonight are literally black, traditional burnt umber, light buttermilk, a bit of white, and a bit of slate gray. So those are the only colors I'll be using to paint with this evening. So it'll take a couple minutes here to dry this background because I have a lot of layers on here already. Hair is getting in the way. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's not in the path of that hurricane that's looming around down on the southern coast. I'm way up here in Canada, so we're not so much affected by it at all, but we're definitely thinking about everybody down there that's in the wake of that storm. Hi, Deanna. We're almost there. We'll get this dry and then we'll pop our pumpkin on here and get painting that little guy. Connie's in the house. So I just have to make sure it's dry enough to transfer my little line drawing on here. I just drew a little pumpkin. Yes, absolutely. Rosemary, absolutely. Okay. I think that might be good. Dried pretty fast. So I have my little line drawing of my pumpkin over here, and I'll just pop that on here and we'll get painting that on. And I just want to center it up as much as possible. Get it where I want it. That looks pretty good. And we'll just grab our carbon paper and we'll transfer this on and get started. My trusty pencil. So this painting doesn't take very long. It's kind of a fast painting. And I just like the way the warm tone colors looked, and this makes it a little bit different. And we'll get our stem on here. All right. All right, I think, oh, sometimes if there's still a little moisture in your surface, it doesn't like to transfer. So it must be a little bit of moisture right there, but we can see it. It's all good. All right, so I'm just going to block my pumpkin in with some black. Just some plain old black. Nothing special here, just black base coating. And then once we get started, we'll give it a little bit of different gray tones and add some of the, we're not going to be shading so much. We're going to just kind of be blending this painting, which is kind of a nice way to do things. It's not so technical and you don't have to, worry so much. Just blending the paint a little bit and it just makes for a really nice painting. Thank you for the hearts. Send the hearts and the love and all those things. It helps Facebook see that people are watching. By all means, sprinkle the love too. That helps us out. Hello, Chestnut Junction, Kelly. I'm glad you put your name up there. So I'm just not so much trying to leave space in between the sections, but I'm just trying to stay conscious of where the sections are. Just a little bit, not, too meticulous here. Thank you for the hearts. That's really nice. Appreciate that. Okay. A couple more sections and we'll be off to the races to get our blending started. Hello, Jean from Alabama. So like I was saying, if you're not part of the Craft Around the Clock group, the link is at the top, and be sure to pop over there and give them a follow. All of us over there a follow, I should say, because there's crafters over there all day long, every day. So you'll get your fill of crafting inspiration on that site for sure. There's something for everyone. Not to mention they are some amazing ladies over there. Well, thank you, Sally. Thank you, Kathy. Hi, Sherry. You're never late. Never late. You can always go back and watch the parts that you missed on the replay. No worries. All right, I think I'm just going to make this profile of this one just a little bit rounder there. Change things up a little bit. There we go. And then we have these two little sections in here. So the black pumpkin kind of looks really cool on that background that we made, I think, with all our neutral colors. Kind of just pops there. So I'm going to clean my brush out, and I'm going to just base my, this black is just black. This is a dollar store Deco Art paint. I usually use the black from the dollar store paints. Hi, Libby. And so I'm just going to do the stem with a little bit of burnt umber, and I'll just get that first coat on there and let that be drying while we're working on our pumpkin down here. We'll get that blocked in, and then you'll be able to kind of see the whole profile of what we're actually painting. So I'm just going to turn a little bit so I can reach. So if you're kind of new to painting, I'm just using this number 5 round for, I'd say, 90% of the painting. We did our background with a 1-inch brush, but the whole painting of this pumpkin is pretty much going to be just this number 5 round, which makes it kind of nice that you don't have to be switching out with all different brushes. I will be using a liner at some point, but for the most part, I'll just be using this one brush, and that is all. Yes, we do love Craft Around the Clock. All right, I'm just going to give this a quick dry. All righty, I'd say that's good. So now that we have that first coat on there, I'm going to just grab my round again, and I'm going to dip back into my black. I'm going to get a little bit of this gray on my plate here, and we're going to be using a bit of gray and a bit of black to do our sections. So I'm just going to be working on this center section first. We'll do it section by section, and we're going to be just layering up each section. Miss Donna, you are the tracer queen. Oops, got a little bit of speckled black there on my background. I just want to get rid of that so it doesn't dry there. Let me just get that off of there before that dries on there, and we'll leave that there in case I do that again. Should always have a wet wipe at the ready, just for little mishaps like that. So I'm just putting a coat of black on here just to get it wet again, because we're going to be blending kind of wet on wet, and we're just going to be working one section at a time. So I'm starting at the center. It doesn't have to be soppy wet by any means, but just enough so your paint will blend. So we'll get that one coat on there, and then I'm going to pick up a little bit of that gray, just a little bit, and I'm just going to start kind of mushing. That's a word. It is now. It's a word now. I'm going to mush some of that gray into that section, and I'm staying away from the edge. I want to kind of have that black edge. So I'm just dipping into the gray, and I'm just kind of coming down this side. And I'm just kind of patting that into my paint and just giving that a nice lighter gray or lighter black. Say it's more like a charcoal now on that section. But I'm still seeing some of that black peeking through. I'm just coming around on this side of it here, doing the same sort of thing. I'm just kind of blending that in. And we're going to do this on all of the sections. So we can have it a little lighter in some spots, but I want that black peeking through there, so I don't want to cover the whole thing. So that's pretty good right there. We can stop right there. So we'll come over here and we'll do the same thing, kind of staying away from just that edge of that first section. We want to be able to see the sections of the pumpkin. We don't want it to be just one big old blob. But you'll see what I mean when I get this next section happening. You'll kind of understand more what I'm talking about. Now we can grab some of our gray, and I'll just kind of start at the top there, leaving that little bit of room in between those sections, and I'm just going to do the same thing, kind of mush that gray into there. I'm using that word a lot. I don't even know if that's a word, but mush. We're smushing. And we'll move on to the next one. So you can kind of start to see the definition of the section starting to show up a little bit. All right. And we're going to grab a bit of gray, do the same sort of thing over here. Looking good. Okay, and we're going to come over here with our black on this side. Grab a little gray. And I'm just blending that in there. You just want it to come down to sort of like a little bit of, like I said, a slate gray color. So just ever so slightly, we're toning that differently. I'm self-taught painter, Rosemary. Just many years of playing in the paint. All right, so we have that section in there, grabbing a little gray again. We have everything in there. You can kind of see, I'm going to add a little more gray here. I can kind of see that I want a little bit more of a tone there. There we go. That's a little better. And we'll do these two little sections up here. And so I'm just going to put the black sort of in the center of that little spot there. Take a little gray and just kind of hit that top edge. That's just so we can see that section. Do the same thing over here. Start with our black. Grab a little gray. All right. So I'm just going to squeeze the paint off of this, and I'm going to put another coat of burnt umber onto my stem, just to get that second coat on there, and let that dry while we're still playing around with this pumpkin down here. So it will be all ready to go when we need it to be. All right, fabulous. Okay, so I'm just going to clean my brush off a little bit. Oh, thanks, Rosemary. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of, I think I'm going to add a little bit more gray here. I have a touch of black and a touch of gray. So I think I'm just going to do more so gray than black this time. It's still a little bit of black in there, just to tone that down. So we're just kind of taking different shades of the grays. And I'm just going to start patting that in there. And I'm just coming down that left side of that center section. And I'm going to grab a little black on my brush because I kind of want it to blend in a little better. I'm liking that, and we're just going to bring, I'm just patting, kind of patting that gray in there, and then I'm just blending it out. Checking my time here, we got a few more minutes yet, so I'm just going to do the same thing on this section. All of the sections, actually. So we're a little lighter now. All right, there's Miss Cindy Lou. So I see this is getting a little bit too much in here, so I'm just going to bring some black back in there, and I'm going to blend that back a little bit, just so it doesn't look so like it just kind of stopped there. So I mean, there's no rules here. We can just bring a little bit of that black back in. Just kind of blend back and forth until you're happy with how it looks. Bring some down this side. I want that to be a bit lighter on there. Oh, it's not looking too bad. All right, and we'll put a little bit up in here. All right, so there we have that so far. And now I'm going to rinse my brush out, and I want to just kind of crisp up these little sections that are shade sections here. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of black, and I'm going to just kind of run down my edges of my sections just to brighten that up with the black a little bit. Thanks, Cindy. I wish I could be compared to Bob Ross. My goodness, that would be a huge compliment. That man was amazing. Now he mesmerizes me when I watch his old. I still watch his old videos. Grew up on watching that man. All right, so I'm just bringing a little bit more of that black, and it kind of cleans up any of this little funny stuff you got going on here with when you were patting those lighter colors in there. Kind of just feather that back up in there. All right, so it's kind of looking pretty cool right now. All right, I'm happy with that. And I'm just going to grab a little bit and bring it on in here. And now we're going to grab a little bit of white, and we'll put a little highlight on our sections. So I think I'm going to use actual white, not the light buttermilk. I want this to be a little brighter. All right, so we're just going to tap a little bit of that white highlight on here. So you can see we kind of just layered up all of these colors, layer after layer, to get where we are now. And I'm going to bring this all the way down here. I want that to look so choppy. I kind of want that to be just a little more blended. And then we'll bring a little bit down on this side as well. And we'll just do each section, just kind of, I don't want to cover all of my gray. I just want to put that little white highlight on there. So I'm just kind of smushing it a little bit. Again, I'm doing more smooshing and blending that in there just a bit. Grab a little gray on that too. Just knock that down a little bit. And we'll just keep carrying on over here. Our time, like, okay, we got 10 minutes. I think I can get to the stem before we sign off here. being a bit too particular, I think. And we'll put a little bit of a highlight up here on these little tiny sections. So now this is kind of where you can kind of look back at it a little bit, and I'm not really liking the way that's looking, so I'm going to blend a little bit more in here so it doesn't look so squared off there, I guess is what you'd say. I'm going to grab a little bit of gray, so we're just going to, a little bit of black, we can kind of mush that back in there, just kind of blend it down so it doesn't look so choppy and sections. We want it to be blended, so I'm just kind of lightly taking a little bit of that gray, a little bit of that black, and just blending that on that edge there so it doesn't look so drastic. Same over here, you can do the same thing, a little bit of black, kind of just push that. Let me clean this brush out, push that back a little bit. Kind of blend it all in there. And then you can take a little bit of that white and just, you know, add a little bit more, just a tiny bit of a brighter highlight on there. Like so. So that's looking pretty good. I like the way that looks. So now for the stem, I'm going to grab a little bit of that burnt umber and I'm going to wet this bottom edge down. I'm going to add a little bit of black down here at the bottom. What's our time? Like 22. Okay. I'm going to blend in a little black on that bottom edge. And then we'll bring some more of this up in here. We're going to try and give this little stem a little bit of a twist. Make it look twisty, if that makes sense. Dry this a little bit. Thank you, Carol. All right, so now I'm going to grab, we're grabbing. Okay, I'm going to grab a little bit of that burnt umber and a little bit of that light buttermilk, and I'm going to mix it down to kind of like a tannish color. Just to see, so you can see in the, just making like a tan color with these two colors here. Just kind of mixing them half and half on my brush. So just a lighter tan color. So I'm going to start probably right about here. I'm going to turn it just a bit so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to dab a little bit in there, and I'm going to bring this kind of up like this. So we're going to make this look like it's a little bit twisty, if that makes any sense, a little twisty. So we're going to leave a little space, and we're going to do that again. Bring that up there. And then this far side, we'll add another one. So we'll just get our little twists down here, and then we can start coming in from the side, bringing that up in there. So now you can kind of see it's starting to look like it has a little twist in the stem. And we'll do that all the way up to the end. And then we have this little piece down here that also needs a little, we'll bring this one up in here like this, and then we'll bring another one from this corner up in here. So now it kind of resembles, like, it really looks like it's a nice twisty stem. And that's how that you make that happen. And that took me a little while to figure that one out. Trust me, it was. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of black. So So if you just follow those steps by watching the replay, you too can make your twisty stem look just the same. So in between those little twists, I'm just putting a little bit of black just to darken that down so we can have a little bit of depth there. Just bringing a little bit of black in there. And I'm going to clean my brush. And now we're going to highlight our stem. And I think we still got 5 minutes. I think we're doing it. We're going to have it done. All right, so I'm going to grab a little bit of that light buttermilk. And I'm going to, right from the bottom here, I'm just going to kind of flick up a little bit of that light color, just as a highlight on the bottoms of our stem there. Just lightly flicking that light buttermilk on there. Grab a little more. I ran out. So we're just flicking that on there so you can kind of see the bottom of the stem now. And then we're just going to take our light buttermilk and just kind of touch here and there on all of those little twists so we can give those a little highlight as well. Just here and there. You don't want to cover the whole thing. You just want to give it a little highlight, a little bit like so. And then you can add a little bit of a highlight up here at the top on this little squiggly part up there. Like that. And then you can take your fine liner if you need to. Now you don't have to. Take your fine liner and a little bit of black. So I'm just dipping into my black with my liner. So we literally did this whole painting with three brushes. And now I'm just going to kind of throw a few little tiny lines up through there with the black. Again, to give it just a little bit of texture and a little depth. And then I'd say we're darn close to being done. And this is where, okay, we have a few minutes left, so I can go back and play around with my shading and my blending. Not shading, we blended. We didn't shade, we blended. So I can go back and, you know, mess around with that if I choose to, and, you know, fix it up where I think I need to. But I kind of like how it's looking right now. So I'm just going to put a little black on the underside of that wiggly part there. But I mean, this is one of those paintings that you can just, you know, play around with it. See what happens, see what comes of it. All right. So, having said that, let me see, we got a couple minutes here. What should I do with it? I'm kind of thinking that this one over here needs a little more blending in there. I'm going to grab a little bit of black. And again, you can just play around just by dabbing. And you know, if it goes awry, don't fret about it, because let it dry. Just let your acrylic dry and then go at the section again. Paint it over again with black and try it again. You don't have to worry that, oh, I messed that section up, it's all ruined now. Well, let it dry and just go back in there and take another shot at it. That's the beauty of acrylic paints. It's just, it doesn't work out, paint on over it and try again. All right. So I think that's my segment, ladies. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed watching. And oh, you know what? Oh, I forgot something. I almost forgot. I'm going to take a little bit of black on my round, and we have to have our pumpkin sitting on something, right? So I'm going to just smudge a little bit of that black kind of here on the bottom. Lord have mercy. And then I think I'll be done. And up next, we have Miss Angie from Honeysuckle Haven. So make sure you pop into the Craft Around the Clock group and watch her. She's amazing. Always fun to watch her do her thing. So there we go. That's better. Now I'm happy. Woo! And we made it. It's 9:30. So there you go. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for the hearts. Thanks for the shares. Thanks for all the things and the sprinkling and all of that stuff. All right, so we'll see you all next time. Make sure you pop over there and see Angie from Honeysuckle Haven. Bye now.